In most business discussions, the words creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship are treated as interchangeable buzzwords. But failing to distinguish between these phases often leads to the specific structural flaws that cause new ventures to stall. Creativity without innovation remains in the realm of daydreaming, and innovation without entrepreneurship produces an isolated prototype with no way to reach a market. True value creation requires treating these concepts not as buzzwords, but as three distinct interlocking phases of a single architectural pipeline. This entire pipeline, the conceptual triad, defines the three domains an idea must survive: the cognitive, the practical, and the strategic. It begins in the creative phase. Imagine an urban designer looking at a river and picturing human transport occurring continuously above the waterline. At this stage, the bridge exists only as a mental model. The innovative phase follows, where engineers evaluate material physics and structural loads to convert that mental concept into a functioning physical design. Finally, the entrepreneurial phase integrates that physical bridge into the economy by securing financing, building toll gantries, and establishing a maintenance schedule. A successful venture only becomes a sustainable ecosystem when all three of these pillars are constructed in their proper sequence. This journey begins in the cognitive realm. Graham Wallace's model shows us that creativity is a structured progression, not a mystical accident. It starts with preparation, but the second stage, incubation, requires stepping away to let the brain engage in unconscious pattern recognition. This leads to illumination, the aha moment, which must be immediately followed by verification, where the breakthrough is subjected to analytical stress tests. The objective here is divergent thinking, breaking conventional patterns to generate the unconstrained concepts that drive physical engineering. In the practical realm, that verified concept is engineered into a functional system. The strategy used here depends on the type of innovation being executed. This incandescent bulb represents the legacy technology targeted by radical innovation, groundbreaking leaps that require high capital but offer transformational returns. The shift to these high-efficiency semiconductors didn't just refine the bulb, it introduced entirely new technical capabilities. Disruptive innovation takes a different path, often starting with a simpler, lower-cost alternative. Market leaders typically ignore these options until the new technology moves upmarket. We saw this when solid-state digital sensors rendered these chemical film canisters and the darkrooms that process them obsolete. Identifying your innovation type dictates everything from your engineering timeline to your total capital requirements. Even a perfectly engineered product will fail if it cannot achieve economic scale. This is the strategic realm. To minimize wasted capital, entrepreneurs use the lean startup methodologies build, measure, learn loop. Instead of a high-risk 50,000-unit run, a small minimum viable product collects validated learning. The data feeds a decision tree: persevere, iterate, or fail fast to preserve capital. Entrepreneurship relies on this strategic deployment of resources to validate a business model before attempting to scale. When this triad is executed successfully, the impact moves beyond a single company and begins to reshape the broader economy. Economist Joseph Schumpeter described this dynamic in his theory of economic progress. He called it creative destruction, the process where new innovations systematically replace legacy technologies and business models. We see it in the music industry, where these physical media supply chains and brick-and-mortar stores were displaced by digital platforms. It appears in our food systems, where manual domestic labor was absorbed into highly scalable, mechanized processing industries like the one shown here. Mastering these three phases transforms enterprise into a repeatable structural system, turning intellectual capital into a functioning economic engine.